Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I'm Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and I'm joined once again by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. And we're also joined by Yip, aka TheYipShow. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Playing a lot of WoW.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new world. It's pretty cool. Oh, all right, guys. So it's going to be a different type of episode this week. We'll get into that in just a second. First off, I want to thank our tank patrons and Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. You guys keep the lights on. Thank you so much. I want to mention we stream the show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlazinBob. It's BLAZZINBOB. We have a new Discord server. There's people joining every day. There's conversations sparking up. So come on, join us. It's warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. With Season of Discovery out, make sure to save yourself some money and support us by using our link in the description to go to Rested XP or use code RELOADED at checkout. We're going to start the show off. We're not going to do any voicemails, but if you guys want to leave them, it's 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. We are going to go through our first impressions of Season of Discovery, and then we're not going to do any news because most of the news is spoiler rude locations, new vendors, different things. We're just not going to really cover it because it just came out. We will be covering it all next week when we get back to a normal show. Then after that, we're gonna. It's been a few weeks since we did a Varg Yip raid progression update. That's what we're gonna do, and then the show's going to be over. That's going to be the show for this week. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah. Well, okay. What do you guys think of Season of Discovery so far?
Honestly, It's kind of a pathetic excuse for content that they put out. Just kidding. It's very fun. It's good. I mean, it's good. What can I say? It's fresh enough. They put enough. I never thought they'd ever put enough work into Classic to do something like this, but I always thought doing something like this would immediately revitalize the game, and I feel like it has, because not only do I want to play the class I want to play, every single class is more appealing because there's just stuff you've never seen before. It's literally like playing the game all over again. We can't wowhead half the stuff that we're trying to do. It's legitimately good.
That's the same thing Jordy said right at the start. He's like, "This is so weird. I Google something and there's nothing."
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some of them, though, where I'll look it up and it'll tell me how to do it. And I'm like, all right, how the fuck was I supposed to figure that out? There's not a chance in hell that I would have known to go find a freaking priest troll to bless me.
Yeah. Some of the stuff's a little bit wild. And, I mean, spoiler alert, I'm a warlock, and I don't know if it's just warlocks or just low IQ players. Maybe they're dumb mages. Maybe that's a stereotype I never picked up on warlocks, but we're missing quite a few of our runes. And there's no clues of where to go. Literally this morning, there was an hour reset. It was 7 a.m. reset PST. And the Warlock Discord was like, I bet the rune's not even in the game yet. And they're just putting it in right now because they forgot. And I'm kind of ashamed. But I think the Rogue tank rune hasn't been either. So they're probably really challenging to get, or super hidden, or you just have to be 25 maybe, so we just haven't had the manpower to brute force it yet. But people are out there doing some insane things, and not finding any clues. Like they're out there emoting every single trainer. They're out there with like items, like trying to cast spells on people. They're trying to like hit searing pains into different it's insane what people are up to. But so a lot of wrong information, a lot of misinformation. I'm a huge fan of people in like general or anywhere else just lying about how to get a rune. I think that's really funny.
Oh, it's funny.
Really funny to be like, oh yeah, if you just the first boss of Dead Mines is a 5% chance of dropping like this rune, and then someone's going to do it. Like,
it's been hard to trust chat too. Chat told me there was a rune. Like after I got to Thunder Bluff, they're like, there's a rune back at the starting area. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Are you messing with me? It's a long walk as a torrent, and it feels like I'm in slow motion. But once enough people told me, I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. And there was a rune there.
That's also the thing, though, is that we played Horde this time. And so really, like, everything's new. Right? Which makes it even harder because it's like, I don't even know if this is a new quest or if this is a new thing in this area because I've literally never been to this area.
Yeah, I'm like,
fair.
Is this a Horde thing? Because like Horde has these different buffs in the Barrens, and I'm like, oh, this is new. But no, it's not. It's something they've had the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, that is the nice thing. I do kind of like that, though, because it employs something that I liked with hardcore, where your like expertise helps you out with what you're doing. Like, oh, I know vanilla WoW inside and out, so like I'm especially good at hardcore or something. This, I got like a wolf jawbone in the starting area of the gnome place, and I was like, this is not in the game. Like,
this is new.
I know that this is not ever in the game, and it was kind of cool. So like, some of them are natural. I do have some complaints about the runes. Like, obviously, I think it's crazy that we don't have our tank rune. And that's like an entire spec for somebody, basically, that we can't get. But the ones that are natural are really cool. So for Warlock, you kill a wolf, which you're doing by doing other quests anyway, and you get a jawbone. And it says, like, oh, this is used in a special ritual. Okay, and you kill like a Yeti, and you get the blood of a Yeti, and you're like, okay, and it says this is used for a special ritual. And then you kill a Shadowmancer, which is kind of like a warlock, a troll Shadowmancer, I think, and it drops a book, and it's like, this book tells you to bring it to like the Shimmer Ridge and cast a ritual upon the ritual stone, and you bring your 2 pieces in the book to the Shimmer Ridge. It's not on Wowhead, so you just kind of have to look around for a ritual stone, and then you get on it and you summon a dude and you kill it and you get a rune. And I'm like, wow, okay, that was really cool. Like that was pretty cool because I didn't look anything up, and it just like the game was pushing me in the right directions. I think some of the scavenger hunts going on with these higher level ones are a little crazy, but I like if there's a little clue and you just kind of can piece it together. That's been pretty like exciting and interesting, I think. And if for someone who's done like the gnome and dwarf leveling place like 30 times probably, it's like it needs something a little new, So it's nice to see like waiting for like random new mobs to spawn, a lot of new elites. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There was one I did with the druid, and I found these flowers just randomly, and it said like use 3 of them combined together. I'm like, is this?
Oh, for your crown, right?
Yeah, for the crown.
Is that a rune?
Yeah, and the crown, I was like, Rugs, what do I do with the crown? And he was like, I didn't do it, but you do something, because he was just rushed into level. He was like, you do something like southwest of that first town you go to before you go to Thunder Bluff. So I went over there, and I was like, it was in the morning. There was nobody there on my lair. So I was like, well, there's these 3 stone things here, and I can attack them. So I just started attacking them with different things, and it seemed like only Moonfire, Moonfire lit them up. So I like started blasting one with Moonfire, and I was like, okay. Then I blasted the other one. Then the other one's light went out, and I was like, it only took me like maybe 3 minutes, but I was like, oh, what if I get them all active at the same time? So I got all my mana, and then I was like, and when they all fully lit up, a damn chest popped in the middle of them. I was like, oh. And that was my rune. But that was pretty cool. I kind of like, I got a hint, but like it only got me halfway there. I just figured when I got there, I'd see other people doing it and I'd know what to do. And I was like, well, I guess I'll try to figure this out. But it's been really cool. And it's just been really cool having different rotations at such a low level. Like,
yeah, I made note in I think I was level 14 on my warlock, and I have like a rotation of spells, like a real rotation as I'm killing stuff. It's not like, oh, shadow bolt. I'm hitting like 5 buttons plus per kill. And that's like pretty wild at level 14. It's not normal. And it all feels good. I mean, I don't know how other classes feel, but Warlock feels like incredibly overpowered and just like very fun to play. And I can change up my runes. I did a Dead Mines, and I was like, oh, well, maybe this rune will be good. And there's a Shadow Bolt volley rune, so my Shadow Bolts will like hit 5 things at once, which I don't know if it's just because we're low level, but tanks can't tank, so that's actually a horrible rune. So hitting 5 things means 4 of them are going to aggro on me. And then I got pushed back, so I quickly was like, all right, never mind. I think maximum single target damage might be the best. You know, like I had to like go through and figure out what runes are going to be good. And it reminds me a lot of, I hate to put it this way because I hate the talent system that came out of like MOP and stuff, but in MOP and WAD, they like wanted you to hot change your talents where you have maybe you have a cooldown talent area. There was only like 10 talent lines or something. And maybe one of them's more single target, one of them's more AoE, and one of them's cleave. And you just choose based on the fight. But because it was like your talents, it always felt bad. It was like, I actually don't enjoy this because I'm just respecking all the time. And like, you need like a glyph thing, or you need a thing that like disappears your talents to put new ones in. And really a big hassle. But now I'm just like resocketing my gear, and I've got a whole new set of abilities, and it's really fun. I can go to a Destro spec where I'm using Incinerate and Chaos Bolt, 2 spells that neither exist. I think neither exists. Maybe Incinerate exists in vanilla. No, I don't think it does. And then I can hot swap them out, and now I've got Drain Life, and it's a dot instead of like a channeling spell. There's so many like really interesting, cool ways to change your character, and this is only the first tier, so they definitely I think they nailed it. I think they did a really good job like making every class interesting with a lot of options. And I think that's what will make people keep playing. It's just there's so many options, so many things to do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Druids.
Having penance as a priest at like level 2 is wild, right?
It's so shocking watching priests penance stuff. It's like, whoa.
Oh my god. And it's the same amount of mana as my smite, right? So I'm like, okay.
That's
like, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, it's something smart they did. They made all the mana costs of the like rune stuff way cheaper. Like Incinerate like half the mana of my Shadow Bolt. Like it's really nice.
Well, and then
it's so cool.
They like also it seems like I'm sure there's some that maybe don't have it, but it's almost like every class got a tag ability too. Like my rogue has that. I go to stealth and then I warp to him, and it's an instant strike. It's great to tag. Like actually, like I'll switch off to mutilate if we're not have to worry about tags. But if we're in a crowded area, I switch right back to the other one so I could tag. She could tag with penance. Like
nothing's better.
It's like everybody's getting more tags
than penancing something, which I feel like I can penance from really far away. Like I feel like I can penance from further away than anything else, but maybe I'm just crazy. But nothing's better than penancing. And like as this warrior is like running towards this mob and your penance hits it, and you're like, nah, sucker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have Warlock doesn't really have anything that good. I think Drain Life is normally your go-to, but you give it a cooldown with your really good rune, which is annoying. Pawn is really strong, and that's like your level 1 ability, but it's not like what's the terminology in WoW? It's not hit scan.
Some have travel time.
Yeah, you launch it instantly, but it has travel time, so it's always slower than someone else who's like watching it, unless you're like right there on them. So there weren't that many options, and it was pretty frustrating. But I don't know. Everyone's grouping. There's a little too many people around.
Yeah,
questing is pretty rough. But you know, I'm kind of a sicko. I took up skinning so I could go grinding and wouldn't mind that much, make a little money.
It seems like most people are pretty cool about adding you to the group. If you
people,
like if they get a tag and stuff.
Of 5 to do everything, but it really slows your leveling down to like not get any mob XP while you're doing these quests. Like every kill quest, you basically have to do in a group. Every drop quest, you have to be like standing around forever or like playing at weird times. The freaking escort quest at Sentinel Hill. Oh my god, you guys don't have to deal with that. Maybe there's a horde equivalent, but only one escort quest happens and it won't respawn until like the last group is done. And there's just 50 people all standing there waiting and spamming to try to get it. And it's like, that's the Dead Mines quest. Everyone's just waiting to unlock the Dead Mines quests. And
we're stuck.
Frustrating.
We actually logged out last night, stuck at one in right above Shadowfang Keep, and it was an escort, and like I drank way too much to get my target macro and my interact button all working together. So we just like gave up. But it's
did we? I don't remember this.
Yeah, it was right
there. I reluctantly gave up. Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, you gotta be careful about getting runes late too. So on my druid, I didn't, go back when someone told me there was a rune back there, and I left the starting area at like whatever, level 4 or 5. Then I went to level 10 or to level 9, and then I finally walked back over there and got it. And it was Wrath with no mana cost. And I was like, dude, this would have made everything go faster.
Yeah, I think pre-looking at what you need is important, like, because some of the things you have to go out of your way for. So kind of interestingly, I wasn't sure this would work because at first they were separating runes by like your race. So they'd be like, if you're a human warlock, do this. If you're a gnome warlock, do this. And when it was early on, there's one chest rune that just gives me 10% crit flat. And I was like, well, this is going to be nice to have. And there's no gnome area discovery, but there was a human starting zone discovery. So I ventured over and did the human one and was able to get the human one early.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I didn't know if you could or not, though. But you could. So I got that like early.
Could very much backfire.
Yeah, so I think like kind of planning out which ones are going to be best for you is good. But I was sort of just trying to get like everything around. And people were online to help because some of them you do need like help for. You can get them early if you do have help. Like the incinerate one, I had to kill like a level 23 elite, but they're not really elite. They're all like half elites for the runes. I feel like they have like barely more health and damage than a normal mob, but level 23, but you can get it at like any level. So it's like the sooner you go there with people to kill the guy at like, at like level 10, you can put the incinerate rune on and start using it.
Oh, wow. I've got one that gives me little mini-me's. There's like 3 little mini-mills.
It's hilarious.
That run around with me.
Yeah.
One has an axe, one has a sword, and one has a mace. It's so funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Do they cast or what do they do?
No, they melee. They're hilarious. Nice. And they aggro really, shit everywhere as she walks by.
They're real annoying when like the fight's over and you're like trying to get to the next one and they're like, oh, over here. They're like ADD little mills.
That's so funny.
It reminds me of the movie Willow and the brownies. I stole the baby. Like they're these little miniature people.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, you've never seen Willow? Oh crap! Wow.
No.
Oh man.
Is that now? When is that movie from? Out of curiosity. Is that
back when? It was in the late 80s. It came out. It was starred Val Kilmer when he was still really good looking. And it was I knew you see the actor that did it, but it was a great fantasy movie ahead of its time. Had good comedy along with good action. But
I was gonna say it reminds me of the Diablo ability, Call of Ancients or whatever that barbarians get, and they call more barbarians, each with a different weapon around them.
These guys are like itty bitty though.
That. Oh, they're little.
Oh yeah. They're that's why I compared with that. They like come up maybe to our knees as undead. So funny. Oh, they're so cute. They're just like little
they're undead
leprechauns. It's just 3 copies of her character model.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's been really weird being the Horde. Really weird.
Yeah, you missed out because you went Alliance for the last hardcore cycle, right? We went Horde and learned it for hardcore, which was not fun.
I bet.
Roughly 0 fun having to learn Horde for hardcore. So glad to be back Alliance and comfortable. Glad to be a gnome. Very glad to be a gnome because that's sort of.
There were so many times where I was like, I'm just like, okay. These Horde, like, there's just so many bad things about Horde, I feel like, and there's no cute characters at all. Like, I had to go through the sewers, and I'm sorry, what the hell is Undercity? Like, what is this massive maze of a stupid city
I
that
agree.
I can't find anything? And that, like, no. Like, I have to swim through green goo to get to where I need to.
Mel and Willow got lost in Undercity last night. I was like, I'm just going to farm till you guys figure your way out. Because I don't want to go back in because then I'll get lost.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is. It truly is a nightmare.
Listen, there's no reason for the elevators to have doors on them that shut because I don't remember where they are until the door opens. So then I just stand in front of random walls that I think the elevator might be at. And I have to wait, and I'm like, I don't even know how long it takes. And then I'm like, I'm just this weirdo standing in front of this wall thinking it's going to open, and it's definitely not the elevator. Like,
yeah, you thought the Dry and Ice City was bad. Undercity takes the cake. Although, luckily for me, I did remember it. Because, I mean, I don't remember any of the starting stuff because we didn't go Horde until Blood Elf, and you just completely skipped the Barrens because you go to the Ghostlands. But I did know Undercity pretty well, so I was able to navigate fine, and it was pretty funny watching them struggle bus. It's been amazing. It's been everybody's been like having a blast trying the different stuff. I don't know what to do. I'm a little worried for our server specifically. What server did you go on?
Your server. I'm Crusader Strike.
Crusader Strike? Well, dude.
Alliance.
Asmund Gold went on there. And I'm afraid that when, he's done in a week, all of his minions leave and then it might be an unhealthy population. I'm really worried. Either that or we're just going to get our butts kicked.
Unlocked. Like, I know, Lexers got stuck and couldn't make an Alliance character, so they had to roll on Chaos Bolt, Harscare, and Alex. So, kind of
that was all Asmund's fault.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that we were going to be the underdogs picking Alliance on this server, but it quickly changed. Quickly went the other way, but I mean, it's good right now. I don't know if you guys have seen much PvP, but we get some Horde around, but it's kind of nice that at worst they're level 25.
Right.
There's no one coming in.
9. I think I'm only level 9 now. I had to work. So the first night.
No, I'm pretty sure we logged out at 12.
Oh yeah, I did get. Well, I know I got 10. I don't know. It might be 12, but
we got 10 before we ever went south.
Yeah, you're right. I had to work the first night, and Bob had blocked me in a little late, so I was in queue, and then it was almost finished with queue, and he had me on his laptop, and so I logged in on my computer, and it just completely restarted. The queue.
Yeah. I think it might be I think they've got some anti they got something going on because it is a little bit weird.
Normally, it puts you right back in. Right?
I know. I don't know if it's like a different computer thing. I saw other people saying they were having issues and got sent back to queue when they shouldn't have, or like when they tried to load up on like on one computer. So you guys weren't the only ones that had that. So it's very strange.
It was a bummer
because it stinks on launch.
I had already made it, got her logged in late, so it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes before raid time Thursday night that she got in on the laptop. Then she tried to switch over, and then she got stuck in queue, and then didn't even get on. We got to play for like 40 minutes before we had to go to raid. It was a bummer.
Yeah, raid. I mean, that's classic launch, baby. Sit in queue, do nothing on the first day.
Swapping over to Wrath to raid, I was like, oh. It's like the first time like I didn't want to log into Wrath. I was having fun on.
I know I have to do a GDKP tonight, and I'm like, no.
I was definitely like, my patience was a little lower because I was like, we might have a fast night. Like I can't remember like exactly the details, but like people were dying to some stuff, and I was like, we're not having a fast night.
Definitely not a fast
night. I really thought we were having a fast night. We're not.
And we were one short too. And
that was the other thing. I thought we were having a full raid. So, stuff like that hurts. But hey, we get the buff next week. So no excuses from now on for ICC. We can all get in and out and back to Season of Discovery.
Yeah, I take it back. I think their timing was perfect with the buff because now everybody just wants to rush through ICC.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have lofty goals. Maybe it's because I'm like tired. I'm just like, I think Ulduar really broke me.
Yeah.
Do you feel? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I just don't have, like, I didn't go into ICC being like, we're going to kill Heroic Lich King before the buff comes out. Like, I just didn't have any lofty goals. Like, oh, we killed normal Lich King and got, like, a bunch of Heroics down before the buff. Like, cool. Yeah, that's good. It's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Like, if we get some gear and we have a good raid, all right.
And it's kind of like gotten to the point to where it's like, I mean, I dropped my lofty goals of killing it on Heroic without the buff after that first week. Like when only 5 guilds worldwide dropped Heroic Lich King in the first week, I was like, oh, this is where the new level starts that I don't get to compete at the highest level. So, it's a bummer.
It seems a little tough.
It's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And frankly, I'm fine with it because, like, if you're going to be raiding a lot, I'd rather not be like stress raiding all the time. I kind of hate Prague. I'm sort of tired of Prague because it's like everyone has different expectations of what you should be doing and like what bosses you need to kill. And then it's like you're going in, you're like, well, we better prog it on 10 men if we're going to prog it on 25. It just feels like endless prog with a long raid. Like TOGC definitely spoiled us as far as like what prog looks like.
Well, and just like certain fights, sometimes you have to prog and you're doing nothing wrong, but another class or, healers or tanks like have a much harder job, and you just have to go through the motions while they figure out their job, and like it's kind of boring. It kind of sucks, but it's like, well, your job's easy on this fight. Of course you don't need the prog because your job's easy, but you need to wait for others to be able to learn it,
It really, and it really comes down. It's sort of like Valithra, honestly. At first, our first couple of attempts, I was like, "Oh, we're never killing Valithria. Our healers just drop stacks every time." But then it's like, oh, as soon as they like learned it, we're now killing it in like the worst situations possible. Where like the worst possible things can happen, and we're totally fine now. So it's nice to see that sort of thing, but it's a struggle, and some of the bosses are just really like, we struggled with Sarafang the other day, and it's like it only gets hard at the end. You're not wiping. It's not like if we just get through phase 1, we're gonna be okay. It's like you're just sitting there. It's for me, it's a little boring. I mean, I'm taunting, so I have to pay attention the whole time, but it's just a little boring. And then 6 minutes later, you wipe, and you're like, "Dang it!"
I know the log
Right.
fights.
It's not forgiving at all because one person dies and it's a wipe, and there's really nothing you can say or do. Like you just say the same things over and over again. Like, "Hey, let's get our bops out early. Let's freaking heal the guy who just died. Let's heal him."
There's so much RNG to that fight though too on who gets the mark, right? Like I got the mark a couple times first, and I'm like, well, this is gonna be a shit show. Some little clothy like sitting over here, and the mark hits hard. Like I have to spam heal myself the entire time, or I will die.
Yeah, it's wild how much damage it does. But
I wonder if that happens to a clothy, if it'd be smart for them to just swap to the stamina flask right away. Like, I wonder if that would be more beneficial than the buffs that they were using prior.
It could be. I mean, a lot of them usually end up DI'd if they're like super like in a bad place. So it's hard to say what the best thing is.
It'll be buffed next week.
Yeah, we're gonna pump it down. Luckily, even if we're down a person starting next week, which really curves that fight out. Because if you only get like 5 marks and you're bopping or you're DIing one, it's like okay, like
and 5% more damage across everything is so much, and
it really is. Like I think it's more than people will expect. Like it really will curve everything out quite a bit. Like I think people don't necessarily even account for like the kind of places where it'll help, like killing ads on like Lady Death Whisper and stuff like that. 5% just gives you a few extra seconds to deal with damage to the boss and stuff. So it'll be nice. I'm okay with it. Season of Discovery is fun, and Season of Discovery is fun for like normal game reasons. I don't feel like I have to hit the end game and like I can't wait. Like, is the 10-man raid, does that sound cool? Sure. But I'm not like rushing to the end in order for that to happen. I'm rushing to the end to like try out the new runes and like let's see how good I can kill stuff. And I'm looking forward to 5-man dungeon content. We can like make some money and get some gear, and that sort of stuff will just be like normal fun. Like normal video game fun, which I felt that normal classic when we played it was missing. Where it's like you log on and it's nostalgic, but you're like, I'm not having that much fun. Like
I'm having fun with the people, you know.
Yeah, you're having fun with the people, but it's like, oh wow, my like it really hit home when we went back to Shadowlands when it came out in Classic, being like, oh my god, I have so many more interesting things to do in retail. Like, what the heck? Vanilla's just missing like so many abilities that really defined classes over time. But now, like, hey, they're all getting them. So, pretty sick.
Yep. Well, I think so far it has been a hit, and we'll talk more about a bunch of stuff in Season of Mastery come next week. But let's go ahead and move into
Season of Discovery.
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, well, we haven't talked about Prague in a little bit, and we have a few more bosses down since the last time we talked. Trying to think where we were at.
Oh, I know exactly where we're at.
Perfect.
We missed. I hope. I think we missed the really good night. We had a night where
we got 2 down,
and I think we ended up getting 3 down.
What was it, 3?
We're gonna go through them, and hopefully I'll remember what the third is, because in my heart I feel like it was 3. But I don't know, so we'll go through.
Oh, maybe it was the first Lich King kill.
You know what? I think you're right. I think that's what it was. So, we were on Lady Death Whisper. That was the first one that we wanted to prog on, and we are running 2 tank. Which, I don't know. Maybe we should just run 3 tanks and not do 2 tank with Frost Res gear. Because Paladins eat it with Frost Res. And I think that's where DKs probably shine, I assume. They probably take less damage But it is so spiky, even with insane frost res. I'm gonna hit by like 35k frost bolts to the point where midway through I started having Bob just like kick the boss so it would punch me instead of cast frost bolts on me. So it is nice that you only need one tank, but it does seem a little sketchy, and I wonder if just having 3 tanks in general would be nicer. Cleans up the ad phase a little bit at the beginning, and then makes ads and like boss threat like way easier. But for the most part, Lady Death Whisperer prog was everything's like basically the same on normal versus heroic, but you just can't get hit by ghosts.
Yeah,
That's basically what our prog came down to, is not getting hit by ghosts. And when I look at what our kills,
done too, like
it definitely is easier said than done.
You have to like scroll way out, and then you're looking for something that's a little translucent, and like when you see it, I don't know about other people, but I'll scan three quarters of the room, and I'm like, okay, and then I get right around, I'm like, it's right next to me. I'm like, I take off running. I spend more time running on that fight than any other fight.
I will give a caveat that Bob probably has, in a nice way, the least visual awareness of any raider in the entire game across any guild. When it comes to visual cues, Bob hates them. So I don't personally find it quite that hard to find the ghost.
Well, you can see them, like, they get thrown, right? Or they like port down, right? Like, you can see them in the air. Then you can see them before they spawn. Like, there's a little thing on the ground that shows up before they spawn.
Oh, well, this would have been great information.
I feel like I just see them. I just feel like they're there, they're inactive, and then they move. And
I just hear the
time to like adjust.
And I look around everywhere.
Yeah, it's a little nice. That's the other thing about kicking and not having a frost tank, is that it's a little easier for the whole melee group to just move. Like, if the tank moves away from ghosts for the melee, then that's all the melee not messing up. So I think that can help as well too. What we ended up doing is having like quadrants for people to stand in, which I think maybe helps. But at first we were just getting hit by too many of them. And the way that we were playing was so clearly night and day from how we started and we're just eating it to sort of how we ended, where we were really, really running from all of them. But we ran into a problem, and this wasn't like our kill problem, but it's a problem in the subsequent weeks that we've killed her, where I think people are now having issues maximizing their DPS uptime because they're like overrunning. They're doing way too much running, and now our DPS is like cut in half to what it should be. And we're doing so many more ad phases. We have to deal with so many more ghosts. I think
the biggest disconnect for people is, and it's what I did in the beginning when I first started doing that fight in both our Rays and GDKPs, is you're thinking that you can't be near it at all. And the truth of the matter is the person that it's targeting can't get near it at all. Like, you could walk right on top of it as long as it's not targeting you. If it hits whoever it targets, it has a huge range. And I was always trying to get away from the huge range rather than just making sure that it's not on me and then going back to what I was doing. Right? Like,
yep, exactly. And it's really easy for the tank. Like, I can see it with the tank easily. People will be like, oh, it's near the tank. And I just move a little bit, see if it's on me, and then I just stand still. But I think everyone kind of needs to learn. I mean, I didn't get into it with Chuckle, but like Chuckle was saying he was running like that too, one of our warlocks. And I was like, you just have to stop. Like, you have to trust. You have to do the fight with the trust that everyone's doing the fight properly. You can't. Right. We can't do the fight with like training mode on, where we're making it so much harder for ourselves running from like ghosts that might hit you. You just have to.
Do the ghosts switch targets though?
No, they don't.
I don't think so. Unless maybe someone dies.
I don't know. Maybe I feel like I've seen
or vanishes.
I've seen a ghost like going one way and then like make a sharp turn towards somebody else, but I don't know.
Maybe they do. I don't know.
They're not coming towards me, so I don't care. I'm just like, that was weird.
I don't think so. I wonder if somebody blinked. Like, it was on LZ and he blinked or something like that.
I think it's fine to keep like a healthy distance. Like, I think it's like 5 yards to get hit. I think it's fine to keep 7 from it or whatever, but you definitely don't need to keep the 20 yards away that like the big explosion is.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, that was really the only hard part is like you can kind of do it forever. If you're not getting hit by ghosts, that you could really just take forever as long as you want. The ads are not that hard. Like there's only 3 ads, I think, every wave, and you have plenty of time to get them down. It's just the problem is once you lose like 7 or 8 DPS, which we often do, it becomes a lot more like we're struggling to get the ads down and get DPS on the boss, and then we go for like a really long wipe because of that. But when everything goes right, it's totally fine. So yeah, we've got that under our belt, and we were able to get it down that first night that we went in there and tried it. So super happy with that. And again, we're using a paladin tank with frost res gear. It does adequately drop stacks, so you are dropping stacks and keeping threat fine. But I did feel like I was taking a lot of damage, and we had to switch off tanks due to a little hiccup in our off tank situation, and he was kind of eating it as well too. So when ads spawned, I was eating it, he was eating it. So it was like a high likelihood one of us was gonna die, which is not good. But that's Lady Death Whisper. Honestly, not too bad. I think like looking back, we probably should have done some attempts on it earlier. Maybe like I think that probably wouldn't have been an issue. Or just kind of hammered home in 10 mans how important it is, because in 10 mans the ghosts aren't that scary on heroic, so you don't really feel the need to do the mechanics that properly. But yeah, so Lady Death Whisper
also
in the bag.
Later on, not that first kill, but later on, I think just this last week, we found that it was a lot easier on the ad phase in phase 1 to just kind of let the DPS work on the boss until the tanks kind of get both sets of ads in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that was we're in an eternal struggle of like DPS opening on ads too quick versus us being able to like line of sight them and bring them all in. So I think once we started just like telling range, like just stay on boss, we'll bring everything to the middle and then we'll cleave in AoE. I think we went from like 5 or 6 ad phases to like 3 ad phases.
Yeah,
like it makes
nice.
a really big difference with how much damage that we could do, which makes, if you're gonna wipe, it is nice to get there sooner than later.
Yep.
We could definitely do the ad phases forever, but it just like that again increases the likelihood someone will die. And we always have like an MC death or like a cleave death or something silly, a kite ad hitting a tank and killing them or something. Feels like there's always something that we're getting hit by. So it is nice to be able to just like get to say phase 2 faster and see it.
Yep. Next week will be 2 ad phases, right? Because of the buff,
maybe. If we have 25 people and that 5% buff, things are going to be feeling really, really good for us because we've been gimped for a couple weeks now.
Yep.
Let's see. We've done Saurfang, incredible. Festergut was the next one that we worked on. We had not done Festergut. We had done it on 10 man for quite a while, but we just didn't prioritize getting it done. I think we just don't have time. That's basically our ICC woes. If we probably had an extra hour and a half or something each week, we probably would have gotten some stuff down sooner, but we're just so limited on time. And then if you get stuck somewhere, again, like this week, we got stuck on Saurfang on Tuesday for really almost the entire time.
It was rough.
So that, imagine if we had all of that time to prog Blood Council. It's like it's night and day with what you're able to get done. So we run into issues like that. But so Festergut, we finally got attempts in on Festergut. It went really well. Our DPS is typically on a fight like Festergut, where it's not exactly tank and spank, but it is like pretty tank and spank. People are mostly standing still. So our DPS is normally pretty high, which that is like a DPS race sort of fight where the berserk timer is pretty tight, but you do have to do all the mechanics properly. Our biggest...
Is Festergut the one that you have to combine the slimes?
No.
Is that Rotface?
No, Festergut's the other one. Rotface was pretty easy, and we did it pretty early on. Festergut,
Festergut is Putricide's favorite aside from Rotface.
Yeah.
That's what he says every time.
I do. Oh man, I hate to say it, but his line he says, I think it's on Festergut, always gets me, where he goes like, "Oh, it's an ordinary gas cloud, but that's no ordinary gas cloud." It's just funny for me for some reason.
He goes, "I think I made an angry poo poo." It's like, what?
I don't want to like them, but I unironically do like the whole Putricide Rot Face stuff. I want to hate them, but I can't. I do enjoy it. But Festergut, here's just like the rundown of how to make Festergut work good. Have 2 stack spots for your range spores. If the goos are kind of annoying to manage, so what we do for melee is like Algalon, just move left and right on his foot. Just like you're avoiding the cosmic smashes, you just do it for every goo no matter what, and that way people aren't getting tripped up and like not having to like pay attention themselves, just left and right. So that's pretty easy. And then for ranged, having them as a group move to the left for a goo when they have to stack just kind of makes it easy to make sure that they're not getting like majorly hit. Then having a cooldown for spores. We have a cooldown. We have a D-sack for every spore. I think we have a D-sack and an Aura Mastery maybe for every spore. And then we have a D-sack and we him for the Pungent Blight, which is he does a bunch of tank damage. Every time he inhales, he does more and more tank damage. And then he Pungent Blights and does a ton of AoE damage. And if you don't have every spore buff on you, then you'll just insta-die no matter what. So there's really not much that you can do. And then if you do enough damage, which like is roughly how much damage you need to not hit the berserk timer anyway, you can just stop stacking for spores for after he does his first pungent, and that makes your DPS will go up way more too, for having like range not have to do anything in that fight for that part. And you're not gonna like accidentally goo the whole raid anymore. You're not gonna like accidentally stack early and get hit with that vile whatever early. So there's you forego a lot of the annoying mechanics if you don't have to keep stacking for spores, which with that 5% buff, I assume most raids will not need to stack for spores going forward. But Festergut, we got it down. I think we did like 2 pulls or something like that. It was super easy for us, and it made us feel like, oh, we should have been doing it earlier. But again, 3 or 4 wipes means 3 or 4 wipes that we can't put elsewhere. So pretty happy with that. We always do Valithria. We always do Blood Council. I'll just say we put some attempts into Blood Council this past week. This wasn't during the really good week where we killed a bunch of stuff. But Blood Council for us went from we have 0 chance of ever doing this, we can barely handle normal mode, to I'm starting to think people are getting the fight. I'm starting to think people are getting it. Like now that you can't move, all those mechanics that like the vortex that pushes you away, ranged are finally moving from it. I've been in shock every week when someone calls a ranged shock vortex and nobody moves, and I'm looking at it and they just sit there and you're like, okay, whatever. Like whatever, guys. But now it's like you can't really get away with it, so I think people are kind of forced to learn what's going on a little bit more. But Blood Council, it's pretty hard, but it's not as hard as I was expecting. We just needed a chart of where everyone needs to stand and where everyone's spreading, and that has made it really easy. I think if you're doing everything properly, you just have to move a little bit and you can drop your stacks like really, really easily. You move for a mechanic, you gain some stacks, you move back, and then you stand still for 10 seconds. And for the most part, if you don't mess up anything, you're not going to have a trillion stacks. But there's like a lot of other things that go wrong, and it's a lot of damage. So if one flame orb messes up, everyone's dead. If people mess up the shock vortexes, everyone's dead. The tank can just die because the shadow tank is a big meanie and has like they need to have their nuclei up for it to work. So I think we got probably maybe like a 30% attempt or something like that, maybe a 40% attempt. But we went through all of the bosses in a full cycle with like almost nobody dying. So I think we'll be able to seal the deal. If we have 25 and we have 25, we got the 5%, I could see it going down next week because we're going to be zooming through the rest of the raid, I think.
I feel bad for the ranged or the pet classes, because it's such a big job on them.
Too.
Yeah, it's such a big job for them and so much pressure. And it's like, if those drop, I mean, that's it. Like,
that's a full
done.
One kinetic bomb dropping is an actual legitimate wipe. Maybe if we call a raid wall and we can desack it or something, maybe it's not, but it's one-shotting everybody for the most part when it's hitting. So
yeah,
it's really bad. I think we were getting more aware of it as time went on, though. Like, at first, if the pet class couldn't get it, we just died. Now we're calling like either anyone to go hit it and get it up, or we're calling like a DK to send their ghoul in to get it up. So we are kind of getting better at dealing with it, but it really is everything. There's a lot of moving parts. It's really easy for any one thing to wipe us, and everyone just needs to know what they need to be doing. And we're kind of getting to that point. I think that we'll probably get it next week with the buff, but if not, the week after for sure. But we did see it was night between our first pull and our last pull, again, like night and day kind of progress, where we were just dying instantly at first. And that was one of the fights, though, at the beginning, the first few attempts. Some people just are out of it. I don't know if they're out of it or they're out of their mind. There's some people specifically I'm thinking of where it's just they either don't listen in Discord, or they don't check the chart that we put out in Discord. Like, R-Scary takes his time to make a chart and they just like don't go look at it or something. It's just bizarre stuff like that where you start to really look forward to Cat of 10 Mans, but
or they don't or they don't quite understand the chart and they don't speak up and ask.
Yeah, like it's gonna be really obvious. You may as well ask the dumb question. Bob's always saying, it's better to ask the dumb questions. It literally is, because if you don't ask the question and you just look dumb, we think way worse of you. We know. We look at the logs. We know if you're dumb.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna find out.
That fight took me forever to get my head wrapped around. I had to watch the Jordy video multiple times, read through all the list of different things, and it was still like,
yeah, for some reason that one's really hard for.
And I'm still not completely. I still don't completely understand everything. I'll be honest, but I understand it. At least my job, what I need to do, pretty well at this point. But God, there's so many different jobs, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know it all. I'm glad that you get. I'm glad I can stand above my bastion of knowledge for everyone.
I think one of the hardest things as a healer is that I'm not usually targeted on the boss, right? So understanding when they switch, right? And then which one does what, I think is where I had to really focus my energy.
Yeah, but I think it goes down next week.
Have faith.
What was the next one?
I think the next one is just Lich King. We talked about Blood Queen. Blood Queen's getting very easy as our DPS goes up for the most part. Although it's actually a close call this week. But again, we're down a person, I think.
We had gotten Blood Queen before that night?
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, yeah.
I think it's just normal Lich King. So we were having a really good night. And we were like, yeah, we're doing so well. Like, everything's going awesomely. And then I'm pretty sure, I could be crazy. I think we got stuck on Syndragosa for a while. And we, wasted a lot of time on Syndragosa normal. And we were like, no. We did Syndragosa. Okay, now, sorry, it's all coming back to me. We put a lot of time into Syndragosa Heroic that second day. And then I think we spent too much time and we barely had enough pulls for Heroic Lich King. So we had to, or normal Lich King. So we had to do a pull after raid time in order to get it down. But we did the same, or that Tuesday after weekend got Lich King. We were able to get normal Lich King on weekday after that raid where we added a lot more heroics. So that felt really good. But for Lich King, it feels so easy now. Not easy, but I so clearly see all the stuff that needs to get done that it's like really easy to see what's going on. It's like there aren't that many moving parts compared to a fight like Blood Council where like people can wipe to a lot of reasons, but you have to do everything right on Lich King. One thing going wrong, if you mess up the plague, everyone or like a tank is gonna die or something. If you mess up intermission, you will just instantly die. I think we had a pull one week where I was like I didn't want to turn the spirit to everybody, and I was just on the edge, and I freaking fell off the ledge. Trying not to turn the spirit. I didn't like fall off myself. It's like when it drops, when you're supposed to come back after intermission, and I was just like a little too close to the line and fell. So it's like stuff like that where you're like, "What? All right, wipe it up. It's time to go again."
That's great.
And with phase 2, the same thing. Like we've gotten really good at defiles, which is good. But the thing I noticed the most is phase 2 really is the only very hard phase, I feel like. You have to deal with the tank damage while you're dealing with the Valks. We have our Warlocks staying out because you can apparently, if you get Valked, you can just teleport back immediately, I guess, and not be in the Valk anymore. So we don't have to deal with those, which is nice. And then that also automatically means defiles are out if they go on the Warlocks. They don't even have to like think about it. It's not going to hit the group. So that was really nice. Having a stun order is really nice. In weekend, we were very good about it. In weekday, we're still a little lazy about it. We're just like, get a stun on it. Make sure we hodge it. And I'll try to like ask maybe like, is Bash up? Do we have a hodge or something early? But we don't really pre-plan it that well. Part of that is because like, I guess I don't know if it's Foji Thames interacting, but sometimes the marks swap. Like sometimes they'll come down as a mark and then swap when they land. And I'm like, I can't just say you get circle because it's like, wait, that just swapped off circle. Who's getting what? So
it could be because we have everybody having admin.
Yeah, I think
it could be
when we have everyone. I think it's when we have everyone has. Yeah, I think you're
assist,
right.
Yeah,
assists. That's when it happens. But for phase 2, you get the freaking defiles out and you kill the Valks, and there's really not that much to it. We don't need to hero it at all. Maybe you could hero it if you wanted. We've been talking about, and we think we have done a hero on the first phase, so that you only deal with 1 shambler instead of 2 shamblers. I don't know if that's necessarily a big deal, but we've done it. Then the last phase, as long as Soul Harvest isn't killing anybody, I feel like it's incredibly easy. Soul Harvest is just the one that pulls you under, and if you mess up down there, it enrages the boss, but if you die, it auto-enrages the boss and makes things scary. But even when that happens, you can just boots to the other side of the room and have someone like taunt back and forth, and you can deal with it pretty easily if you need to. But that's like the scariest thing. The way that we have kind of figured out how to do it a little better is trying to stack everybody behind the tank. So we have the tank after the vile spirits or whatever, the spirits start coming out. We run across the map and then we face him inward. So we'll face the boss toward the spirits so that the spirits are coming toward the whole group, but the tank is in the way. So that they're all funneling through the tank. They won't hit the group. They would hit the tank first. And if we do that properly, everything looks good. The problem is a lot of people start getting scattered and they're not stacking and they're doing all kinds of stuff. But we're typhooning the ghosts back and then we're just screaming at people to soak. And it seems to work well. As a paladin off tank, I can soak every single one. I think like they won't kill me even if I don't have a cooldown. If I just go out there, take a couple, get healed. It seems like you can basically get by on normal doing that as well too. You really just need everyone running away from the ghosts if they're going to get close to the group, and then a few people who know how to deal with eating a couple of the ghosts to just freaking go do it. And that last phase you can kind of do forever. The defiles take care of themselves because they come out like typically as you're running across the map, which makes it 1,000 times like the person just needs to stand still basically and it won't hit the whole group. So that mechanic is taken care of. And then you just got to kill them. So it's really not that crazy. You can have a really sketchy third phase and get away with it. I think we had an 11% though, like a 10.7% pull this most recent week, I think. And it was very sad. Very, very sad to see. Was that in weekday or was that?
I don't remember that.
It was in the GDKP. So we had a hard stop time in a GDKP, which is kind of its own announcement. I don't know if you said anything, but our weekend raid got turned into a GDKP being run by Me Please / Size Matter / Family Size, and Shadow Duty in our guild. And it's been incredible and an incredible decision on our part. Because
definitely
the people who are really into it are still able to come. The raid is smoother. It's one night. It's shorter, and it's you really can't ask for. And people walk away making gold, so you really can't ask for more. But we had a hard stop time 3 hours in, and we were like doing really good. We had like 20 minutes left. We go kill the Lich King. We have a really good pull. People just like ate ghosts and died. I think half the raid died to ghosts, but we just are barely scraping it together, taunting it back and forth. Oh, like he's enraging. We got like the Fury Warrior taunting on one side. We're doing everything we can, and it's like 10.7% HP, and we wipe. And it's like we have a hard stop, but luckily we got it on the second pull. And we were able to get it and get everyone out on time. But it was like, no, why? The thing I love about GDKP is one, I don't feel personally responsible when we don't kill something. So with like our normal guild raid, if we don't prog that night, it's like, dang, like I feel like we let everyone down. Like, what the heck? We should have been able to get it. And then two, it's so much easier to move on from prog. Like, oh, you wiped a few times on Sourfang. Like, all right, we're not doing it this week. You guys suck. Let's move on. Like, it's just so easy to just move on and not feel bad about it. That you keep it snappy, and we can fit the whole thing in 3 hours, and it just doesn't feel that bad. And you walk away with gold. So that's been a super positive raiding experience for me, and I'm not broke anymore. It only took 2 weeks. I'm already ready to retire. I'm ready to retire out to the freaking an island off Stranglethorn or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
But that's it. We're done. We have to kill Putricide, who with the buff probably will be easy, especially if we wait for the 10% buff, which we probably might end up doing. Maybe we might. I don't know. It's 2 weeks, right, per percentage. Like we might just wait, just like because we have to. But we'll have Putricide, Syndragosa, and Lich King, right? Is that it? Yeah. After we kill Blood Council, so yeah. I mean, Putricide will probably. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we wiped on Putricide normal this week in our weekday raid. So
fine.
We'll be fine.
Putricide's rough, man.
Syndragosa, we're definitely with that 5%. I think Syndragosa will be very doable on heroic. We've done some attempts before, and it feels super doable. We just need to find the time to do it, and I think next week we might even have the time to put some attempts in. So Syndragosa feels doable. Heroic Lich King feels extremely hard, and I'm not ready to tackle it yet mentally. So we'll tackle everything else. We'll get it all down. But rating is feeling pretty good right now. I think we're going to be going pretty fast this next week with 25. And then, with Season of Discovery out. WoW is peaking right now. Classic WoW is at its peak.
It's nuts. Good. Yeah, it's really good. I'm happy about it. All right. Well, guys. Oh, you know what? I didn't say it was going to be a short episode. I said it was going to be a different episode. Maybe I should do that every time because it has been a short episode.
Yeah. I was going to warn them early. I was going to be like, I'm not going to let them hold me hostage here. Okay, we're good.
All right. Well, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. You can send us emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. Remember, please join our Discord at warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. Also, link in the description. And if you want to find out how to support us, Patreon and everything is all on warcraftreloaded.com. So check it out. And we're done. Mel, where can we find you?
You'll find me on Twitter. I'm all Overwatch or streaming with Bob.
Or in the Discord.
Season of Discovery with my little mini-me's. Oh, and in Discord, yeah. You just have to ping me.
Awesome. And Yip, where can we find you?
You can find me on Crusader Strike. I am the gnome not tank until I find the meta rune. Yippity doo dah.
You might want to check Wowhead for something posted right before the show.
Are you messing with me? Because I literally I'm in the Discord all the time.
Is it?
I'm constantly in the Warlock Discord and they're not even close.
Oh, maybe it had. I didn't look at Warlock specifically.
Yeah, Metamorphosis is the only one not found still.
So the Rogue one, I don't think is either. But hold on, what's the Warlock?
Yeah,
one
the Rogue tank one and the Warlock tank one are not found.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the tank one, is
There's
it?
also a shaman one that hasn't been found.
Yeah, there's this new one has a rune for every class, but it's a lot of them are the tank runes, but it's not for Rogue or Warlock. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think people are literally starting to question if they're in the game at all, but they must be. They
They said that those were going to be the hardest to find.
Yeah, but like
you have to rub your tummy while patting yourself on the top of the head, or
so. There needs to be some kind of clue here. I think we've got. I have to recheck. I do think we have like both pieces of some kind of thing. I haven't checked. We have a staff handle and an orb top, and no one knows what to do with them.
One other little pro tip. For the first time in World of Warcraft history, at least up until Cataclysm, I don't know what happened after that, you need to save your fish oil. Just save your fish oil. Don't use it. I'm not going to give any more spoilers, but just save your fish oil. There's finally a use for it, which makes me wonder how many other worthless items in the game now have a use.
Well, just with the war supply turn-ins, there's a lot of useless items with uses now.
True.
Oh, true.
I would also like to say thank you to the little troll fisherman that blessed me in wherever we were, Brill. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.